Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so it is United Nations. We all know what is its work, but we are going to study that in detail in this chapter. Okay, recently we have seen a good importance of the United Nations, how it works in the situation of the pandemic, coronavirus pandemic situation. So, why it is established, how it is established, when it is established, we are going to study all these things. Okay, so now we all know there are two world war took place. Am I right? The first world war was took place, and after that, to resolve that situation, that this thing should not be happen next time in future, the League of Nations was established. But even that, even with the even though the League was nation was there, but the Second World War was not able to be stopped, and there's a lot of destructive weapons were used. Because of that, lots of destruction took place in the Second World War. So, better organization we can say than the previous one, or we can say that League of Nations is restructured and United Nations has been made. For what? That it is established that it is a responsibility of all the nations that the things should not be again repeated, and that is why it is a responsibility of the whole world that they should cooperate with each other, then only it can be stopped, and that is why the United Nations has been established. So we are going to study about United Nations. All these points we are going to study in this particular chapter. Okay. Okay, so in this way, the United Nations has been established to avoid the war situation in the future. So now let us discuss what is the chronology of the establishment of the United Nations. Okay, now what happened in 1941? The Atlantic Treaty was signed between Prime Minister of England, Sir Winston Churchill, and American President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay, it was 14th August 1941. Now, what happened according to this treaty? Uh, a decision was taken, and what was the decision to set up a permanent mechanism to establish international security. So it will head to end of the Second World War. Okay, and for that a detailed discussion was took place in the two conference among the allied powers. Who are the allied powers? These two are the allied powers. It was took place in the year 1944. The two conference were took place. After that conference, in the year 1945, United Nations was established. Okay, and it established at San Francisco in America. The representative of 15 countries drafted a charter of the United Nations after discussions. Okay, and on 24th October 1945, the United Nations was established. So if we got our United Nations in existence on the date 24th October 1945. Is that clear? It was started in the organization. This particular thing was started to develop in the year 1941, and it was completed in the year 1945. Now, after that, when something come into existence, there is some objectives. So, what are the objectives of the United Nations? We are going to discuss it. Okay, as we discussed, when it was established, there were only 50 nations were there. Okay, we have discussed now that only 50 nations were the participants of this, but now the number has goes on increasing, and it is approximately 200. Okay, it is approximately 200. I'm not saying the exact figure, but it is approximately 200 countries are the member of the United Nations at the present. Okay, now what happened, because it gives a platform where all the nation can come together and solve their dispute. Okay, so it means the first objective to establish friendly relation among the nations. Okay, now what happened? It gives a platform where all the nation can come together and exchange their views. So it gives a platform where they can discuss. Okay, as they are able to discuss, so will be no misunderstanding and the friendly relation can be emerge. Then second, to enhance international security by solving international dispute. Whatever the international disputes are there, that should be get finalized and it should get solved. Okay, as we can see, there's a lot of disputes took place between the neighboring countries. We can take example of the India, China, India, and Pakistan. So at that time, the United Nations has a uh, it has a right to try to solve this dispute. Okay, next, to safeguard and foster human rights and freedom. Okay, not only this, it also took place that human right and freedom should be safeguarded and should get fostered. It should not get uh, deprived. Is it clear? So these are the three objectives of the United Nations. For that, the United Nations is work on. Okay, now we are going to discuss the principles. What are the principles of the United Nations? Principles, you know, that rules. Okay, now the very important rule: all member nation will have the same status, whether it is a rich nation geographically, it is small or big, economically militant, or whatever. That is not going to be discussed over there. Whoever the member of the nation, of member of the United Nations, they will be considered as the same. There's a no discrimination as per the geographical size, economy, military power, and any other thing. This is the first principle. The second principle: respect the freedom and geographical unity of the other member nation. Okay, it is very important that the freedom and geographical unity of other member nations should be keep into consideration. Okay, then the next, last but not the least, the rule is all member nations should solve their international dispute and mutual differences by peaceful means. If there is a dispute also, that should be solved with a peaceful means. They should not fight. Fighting should be at the last. Okay, when the dispute is not get resolved that time, but that situation should not become that situation should not come in future. For that, the United Nations has been made. I hope you have understood this much. Is that clear? You understood? Okay, now let's move to the next. That is the structure of the United Nations. Now there are 6 organs. Okay, we have different organs in our body. Am I right? In the same way, United Nations has 6 organs. The first is the General Assembly. Second is the Security Council. Third is the Economic and Social Council. Fourth, International Court of Justice. Fifth, Trusteeship and Council. And the 6th one is the Secretariat. These are the 6 organs of the United Nations. Okay, first we will discuss in detail about the General Assembly. But before we should discuss about all this, I want to tell you one important information, that these are the 6 major organs. But uh, other than these 6 organs, there are different agencies are also there. For example, International Labour Organization, WHO, World Health Organization, World Bank, then UNESCO, UNICEF, IMF. These are the different organizations. Those are specialized organizations. They have specialized agencies. Yes, FAO, very good, Beta. So these are the different organizations which also work for the welfare of the society. But these are the 6 main organs. So we will discuss more about the 6 main organs. The first organ is a General Assembly. You can see the picture of the General Assembly. Okay, it is a General Assembly. Sorry. Now, all the countries, those who are member, they are the member of the General Assembly. Those whoever are the member of the United Nations, they are the member of the General Assembly. And as we have discussed earlier, only the first principle, there is a no discrimination. So the status and position of all the countries is the same. And what happened every year? They have their session. There is a meet, General Assembly meet, and it is from September to December. At this time, every nation's representative come into the General Assembly and they discuss whatever the problems they want to discuss. For example, environmental, disarmament, or the situation as we have like this. Uh, Emergency situation, all these things are going to be discussed in the General Assembly. And after discussing, the decision are taken by majority. Okay, uh, there may be a voting session, might be take the decision, and those whatever the uh, things goes on majority, that is taken as a decision. Understood? Is it clear? Okay. Now, what is the function? The first important function to elect a non-permanent member of the Security Council. Okay. Now we are going to discuss this about Security Council permanent, non-permanent member. But first we will discuss the General Assembly. Okay, it means it is the first assembly. We can say the first is all the nations are the members. So what is their first function? To elect the non-permanent member of the Security Council. Then second, to choose the United Nations Secretary General and the judge of the International Court of Justice, that is ICJ, in consultance with the Security Council. And the third, to pass annual budget of the United Nations. These are the three main functions of the General Assembly. First, to elect a non-permanent member of the Security Council. Then second, to choose the United Nations Secretary General and the judge for the International Court of Justice. And then third, to pass the annual budget of the United Nations. These are the main important functions, three functions of the General Assembly. Okay, is that clear to everyone? Okay. Then next, now Security Council. Now you can see the Security Council. As we have seen, there is a non-permanent member. So there is a permanent member also. Okay. So there are 15 members. There are total 15 members in the Security Council. Is that clear? Understood? All the nations, those are the member of the United Nations, they are the member of the General Assembly, but there were 15 representative, we can say. Understood. Among them, 5 are the permanent member and 10 are the non-permanent member. Those were chosen every 2 years by General Assembly. Is that clear? Now, who are the permanent member? The permanent members are the America, Russia, England, France, and China. These are the 5 permanent member of the Security Council. Now, as they are the permanent members, so they have a special power too. So that is the veto power. Now, what is the veto power? Veto power is, now suppose there is some uh, problem came, and for that the resolution has been passed for the decision, and among 5 permanent member, if any one permanent member says no, I'm not agree with this particular point, so I my vote is no for this thing. So that resolution, that decision will not pass. Is that clear? So it is very important. They're playing very important role to pass any decision, because a single vote, a single negation vote will deny the decision. So they have a special power because they are the permanent member. Is that clear? Veto power understood. If a question came, what is veto power? Veto power is a power which is given to the permanent member of the Security Council. If they have the power to give vote in negation, if they give the vote in a negation, so decision cannot be taken. Understood? Total how many members in Security Council? 15. Out of 15, 5 are permanent and 10 are non-permanent members. Okay, now what are the functions? The first important function to maintain international peace and security. Okay, so how to maintain international peace and security? Or if any conflict took place, okay, international conflict took place, so try to establish peace by imposing different economic sanction or by taking military action with against the aggressor nation. Okay, in any situation they have to stop whatever the conflict took place in the within the countries. Okay, so first function is to maintain international peace and security. Now the second function, to prepare policy for arms control. Okay, arms control policy means to give a policy that the nation should not produce more armaments. Okay, amenities, fuels for weapons for the battle. Also, that policy should be prepared by the Security Council. Now, the next, last but not the least, to play a joint role along with the General Assembly in the appointments of the judge of the International Court of Justice and of the United Nations Secretary General. Okay, this Security Council has one more important function, that is it appoints the judge for the International Court of Justice and United Nations Secretary General. Is that clear? Now let's move to the next organ, that is Economic and Social Council. The main objective of this organization is what? Any idea? The main objective of this particular, yes, very good. To coordinate, actually, yes, very good, Balaji. To coordinate economic and social policy, okay, of the United Nations. Whatever the economic, there should be a coordination between the economic policy and the social policy. So that work has been done by the, sorry, yes, that work is done by the Economic and Social Council. Is that clear? Now there are how many members in this council? There are 54 members of Economic and Social Councils, and they have tenure of 3 years. Okay, so now what happened after 3 years? 1/3 member have chose again. Is that clear? Means suppose in 2020 1/3 member came new, so other member means 1/3 is gone, the other members will begin, that 1/3 member will come into existence, the new member will elected, and next year in 2021 the next 1/3 member will eliminate and new member will come. Is that clear? Means it is never get dissolved. Okay, eventually there is changes after every 3 years, but it never get dissolved. Get 1/3 new member every year, and every member has a tenure of 3 years. Is that clear? Is there any confusion? Okay. Now the function, the first important function is to initiate discussion at the global level on issues like poverty, unemployment, economic and social inequality, and suggest policy to tackle these problems. The second, discuss issues like, now as it is talking about the social council, so it is discuss issues like women's question, empowerment of women, human rights, fundamental freedoms, global trade, health related issues, and different social issues. Also, for example, child issues related to child labor, then and many more issues. Whatever the economic and social issues which are exist in a society, they are going to be discussed in this particular council. The next, to establish cultural and educational cooperation at the international level. It is also one of the very important function. They are trying to establish cultural and educational cooperation at the international level. Is that clear? Now, after that, next, last but not the least, coordinate the functioning of the different organizations working in association with the United Nations. Means there should be coordination between the nation, and that work has been done by the coordination work has been done by the Economic and Social Council. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, now the next is the International Court of Justice. You can see the logo of the International Court of Justice. It is given at the right side. The okay. International Court of Justice means the judicial branch of the United Nations. It is going to be give the decision regarding the different things. Okay, the International Court of Justice is located where? It is located in Hague in the Netherlands. Okay, there are 15 judges in the International Court of Justice that chosen by the General Assembly and the Security Council. Every judge has a tenure of the 9 years. Okay, now I want to give a homework with this point, that you have to find out who is the current judge of the International Court of Justice. Okay, and you have to note it down. Is that clear? Okay, now what are the functions? Let us discuss the function. As it is a court of justice, so what will be the first function of it? It has to solve the dispute between the two or more member nation of the United Nations. Okay, then second function, to interpret international law authentically, and the third is the advise the various organs of the subsidiary bodies of the United Nations about legal issues. Okay, secretariat. Now, who is the secretariat? So the secretariat has the responsibility of carrying out the administrative task of the United Nations. Whatever the administrative task is going to be done, that will be done by secretariat only. Okay, he is going to be do the different task of the administrative task of the United Nations. And who is the chief of the secretariat? Secretary General is the chief of the secretariat, and he is selected by General Assembly and the Security Council. He has a tenure of how many years? 5 years. Is that clear? Then, what are the functions? The first function, to call international conferences on global problems like climate change, human rights, disarmament, and many different situations. Whatever the global problems are there, that will be discussed and solved by this particular person. Okay, then second means he has to organize a meeting. After that, to organize a meeting of the General Assembly and the Security Council. Okay, then to compile the information, whatever the information he has gathered, he has to compile all the information and then to supply all the information to the media. Is that clear, everyone? Now the next is a trusteeship council. Now what happened after the Second World War? There are different territories, those who are undeveloped. Okay, so as they were undeveloped, so there should be someone who should look after them. So for that, this particular council has been made. Okay, now what is the work of this council? He has to work for the development of the undeveloped countries and to make them develop. So as now at present there are no uh, country who is not developed, no country is undeveloped in present situation. So this council has been over. Okay, is that clear? Now, which one is the last country which was developed? It was the Palau. Okay, it was the Palau country, which is 500 meters east of the Philippines. It is an island at the Pacific Ocean. Okay, on the 1st November 1994, it got its independence, and with that independence, the trusteeship council also get end. Is that clear? So now we don't have, we still have the name of the trusteeship council, but it has no work at present as there is a no undeveloped nation at present situation. Is that clear? Okay. Now, Millennium Development of Goals. The United Nations member nation, all the nations came together, okay, in the year 2000. And what they decided some new millennium goals. What are the goals? First, to eliminate poverty and hunger. What they thought that if they want to a world which should be with a lot of happiness and peaceful, so it is very important. The poverty and hunger should be eliminated from the society. Then to make the facilities of primary education available. Okay, uh, as we all know that primary education is compulsory, free and compulsory. Okay, so it is very important that facility should be provided. At least the child should get a primary education. Then second, to bring about women's empowerment, reduce infant mortality rate. Okay, and we all know that in 21st century, the women get more and more power, and now we can see in all the field, women are there. They are showing their talent. They are showing their hidden talent. Then to take special care of the health of pregnant women. Okay, we know that there is a maternity leave has been provided to the pregnant women before 1 month of delivery, and after delivery also they have a leave for the 6 months. So these are done by this particular. These are the goals of the United Nations, which is took place in the year 2000. Then next, to fight like disease like the AIDS, malaria, and now one more disease is included is it is COVID-19, the present pandemic. Okay. The next, to protect environment and increase the cooperation between developed and developing countries. Now you know what is a developed and developing country. Understood? Developed country, those who are already developed, they have a very high information technology, and developing, those who are trying to become uh, self-sufficient in the field of information and technology. Yes, developed countries like America, developing countries like India. Okay. Now the next, now UNESCO is lot of role. It has a lot of role all doing all this thing because it is also an important part of the United Nation. Okay, it also work for the making nutritious food and health care of the available of the children, then to find measure to overcome malnutrition among the babies and the children. Okay, so these are the some work which is done by the UNESCO, and UNICEF also helping to achieve the goal of the millennium development goals. Is that clear? Next, United Nations and the preservation of the peace. Okay, as we first only discussed that what is the main important function, what is the main objective of the United Nations is to preserve the peace. So for that, okay, what they are going to do. So what are the objective under this particular heading, United Nations and the preservation of the peace? The first, to settle international conflict peacefully. Okay, now how is going to solve the international issues conflict peacefully? The first thing, what he has to do, he has to appoint an intermediary acceptable to nation involved in the conflict. One intermediary should be there, means if the two nations are conflicting within them, so one should be there who can try to calm down both of them and try to solve their issue. Then second thing he can do, use the legal procedure. Okay, legally he can impose some laws or and rules on those nations those who are conflicting. The second, also the third, appoint an arbitrator to solve the dispute, and the fourth, to take recourse of to military means and ensure that conflict will not occur again. So these are the four steps we can say, which are be taken by the United Nations to settle the international conflict and uh, bring again the peace in the society. Is that clear? And at the same time, it also tries, the United Nations also trying that the violence should not erupt in strife-torn areas, and normalcy should be resolved as soon as possible. uh, for example, starting of schools, creating awareness among the people about human rights, and many other things. So whenever there is a problem to place, so United Nations always tries to work and to solve the problem as soon as it is possible. Now the next is the United Nations peacekeeping. Peacekeeping is what? Now to maintain peace and to keep the peace for a longer time is a different thing. Understood. So, if we are able to maintain the peace in the society, so there is a no need to bring peace in a society. Okay, understood. Are you getting to me? If whatever the situation is there, if a peaceful situation is there, if we are managed to continue that situation, so there is a no need to do a hard work to bring the peace again in the society. So for that, United Nations used to do different things. Okay. So now for that, what it is doing? Creating appropriate circumstances favorable for bringing about permanent peace in strife-torn areas. I think you know what is the strife-torn areas, the red zone area where always the fights are possible. So they are trying to bring a favorable situation. So there will be no crime, there will be no violence in that particular area. Then second, prevention of the conflict and mediation. Okay, conflict should not be there. Is trying to do that. Then next, actually establish peace. Okay, peace should be established actually in this. It's not only on the paper. It should be actually peace. Means the conflict should be resolved from its root. Then only the actual peace can be established. Then implement the measures of protecting peace. Okay, it is very important that measures should be find out if there is a problem. So there is a need to find out the solution. That problem should not arise again in a society. So for that, to implement the measures to protect the peace. And then next is a peace building. Is that clear? How the United Nations is working to keep the peace in a world. Now the United Nations and India. Now United Nations and India. Now India is playing a its bigger role in the United Nations, and it is trying also. India is trying to be a permanent member of the United Nations, and for that it is working a very hard. Okay. Now, India had participated different issues. Okay, participated for different issues. For example, the issue of the decolonization, disarmament, racial segregation. Okay, for what? To resolve all these issues, because India is already suffering from all these issues. That is why it is trying to resolve those issues from the society. And he played its important role when for the first time, okay, a nation, there is a question of the racism in the United Nations in the year 1946. Now what is a racism? To create discrimination among the people according to their race, okay, in which race they are born. So that why this should be there, the racism is not should not be there in a society. That was a demand for the of the India, that was raised question in the United Nations for the first time by India. So we can say they are working hard. Now India is working hard to find out the resolutions for the different problems of the United Nations. And not only this, it is also India is also sending different troops to participate in United Nations peacekeeping forces. Not only the men but also women also participating in this particular peacekeeping force, which shows that India is seriously doing a serious efforts to find and bring a peace in the society. Is that clear, everyone? Understood? Understand that how much you understood. Uh, okay, what is the what are the main objectives of the United Nations? What are the main objectives of the United Nations? Very nice, students, for your reply. Let me read out your reply. What you have? Yes, Om has written to establish cooperation among the nation to enhance international security by solving international disputes, to safeguard and foster human rights and freedom. Yes, very nice. Akanksha, Anushka, Manjima, Bhumi, Balaji. Okay. Yes, very good. Very good for your reply. Okay, let's move to the next question. There are how many organs of the United Nations? How many organs of the United Nations? Or the United Nations has dash organs. Very good. Reddy has given the first answer. That is 6. Okay. Name the different organs of the United Nations. Name the different organs of the. Yes, very good. Manjima, General Assembly. Okay, Isha, Bhumi Tiwari, very good. Okay, General Assembly, Security Council, very good. International Court of Justice, very nice. Economic and Social Council, okay. Trusteeship Council and Secretary. Okay, which organ is not at a working position at present? Which organ of the United Nations is not at a working position at present? Very good, Bhumi. It is Trusteeship Council. Very nice, Balaji, Radhika. Very good, beta. Now tell me, in there are how many members of the Security Councils? There are how many members of the Security Council? Very good ones. Isha, very good. There are 15 members. Very good. Very nice student for your reply. Okay, now what is a veto power? And who has a veto power? You can raise your hand. I'll unmute you also if you want. Who has veto power and what is veto power? No, Revati. What I'm saying, what is veto power? What is veto power and who has a veto power? In Security Council, there are different members. So which members have the veto power in the Security Council and what is the veto power? Yes, I'm waiting for your reply. Okay. Russia, America, very good. France, very nice, beta. England and China. Okay, they have veto power. Very good. But who? Which nations they are? Which members are they? Security councils. Which members are they? There are two type of member, right? So which type of member it is? Yes, very good, Balaji. Permanent members have the veto power. And who are the permanent members? America, Russia, England, France, and China. Now, what is the veto power? What is the veto power? Pass. Yes, I'm waiting for your reply, beta. Yes, very good, Balaji. Very good, Akansha. Okay, let me read out. Yes, very good, Revti. But okay, nations are responsible for taking any decision by voting. Okay, Bhumi Tiwari is given. Even if one of five members permanent give vote means negative vote, the resolution cannot be passed. Yes, very good. In short, we can say veto power is a power to pass the decision. Okay, they are giving the vote to the decision. If any member is not satisfied with the decision, he can give his vote in negation, and if the vote is given in a negation, so that decision will not be passed. Is that clear? Okay, what is the tenure of the Social and Economic Council? What is the tenure of the Social and Economic Council? Yeah, 5 years. No, very good, Anushka Balaji. They have tenure of 3 years, and each year one third members are newly chosen. Okay, beta. Now as time is up, we will stop here. Bye, all of you. Take care. Stay safe. Stay home. Take care.